So welcome to the programme, Martine.
Thanks, Victoria.
So today we're talking about coming back from a colourful past.
Yes.
So can you tell us exactly what the definition would be of having a colourful past?
Okay, well, I think colourful past refers to a past that you wouldn't be in a hurry to share with people. Maybe some things that you've done that you're not very proud of. So colourful meaning that it's been a bit adventurous maybe, but things that you're not very proud of.
So should people hide from their past and pretend it didn't happen, or do you think they should acknowledge it and move forward?
I think it's dangerous to think about pretending it didn't happen or to ignore it. And I think the reason for that being that if we don't deal with it, it sits underneath the surface. It might manifest as depression or anger or other emotions. And then we can get very, very ill from that. And then we're not going to be happy. And I think the message that we're telling ourselves if we're not dealing with it is that it's not acceptable. And that means that we're not acceptable for what we've done. So I think underneath that, it's not a message that we can live with and be happy with. So definitely we need to acknowledge it.
So how do people know when they're ready to deal with this colourful past?
A good sign is when people are starting to get curious about how to deal with it and start looking, researching, maybe reading books, or just generally thinking about how would I turn this around? And it's about being honest about that, because it might come up. But when I'm working with clients, the thing is they keep asking me about how to deal with it, so I know they're ready. It doesn't mean necessarily something from the past might come up and they're ready to deal with it right there and then. It might be other things gradually, but they'll know. I think to trust their instinct.
Okay, so do you have any practical tips for anybody who's watching who wants to start to deal with their past?
As I mentioned earlier, I think the first thing to do is to look at being honest with yourself, because that's a very different thing with being honest with others. We don't have to share everything with other people, but being honest with yourself, I think, is the first step. Because I think what we need to do is come to an acceptance that it's happened, that what's happened's happened, and that it's okay. And then eventually we need to find someone that we can trust, and it might be a professional, to share that with, because we need to acknowledge it and move on from it. Another thing really important is to be kind to yourself. Because what we can tend to do is, if we're looking at our past, is to judge it and judge ourselves. And that's why we've hidden it probably for that long. But it's about being kind. Welcome to being human. We all make mistakes, and there's always someone we can find that's made worse mistakes than us. And it's about looking at that and working through it. Then we can be happy. And then I think it's not necessarily, it might be things that we feel shame that we've done. And I think making amends is an important thing. And when I say making amends, that doesn't necessarily mean we might have hurt someone and we go to them and say sorry. The right thing might be not to approach that person again, but to make amends in our own way and not to hurt others in that way, moving forward, so that we can feel at peace with what we've done. We haven't approached that person and hurt them anymore, but it's making amends. So making amends isn't always saying sorry. We've probably said that a lot in our past. It's about making amends and doing better in the future.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for joining us on the show this evening.
Thanks, Victoria.